This is B. Hall representing the Pan-African Cultural Tourism Association, PACTA. Our mission, number one, is to ensure youth, our youngsters, learn about their history and are able to share their history through museums and work study abroad. Ensure an African American cultural land base here in this city in perpetuity. We have a signature drive now to have it named Lemeirt Park African Village. Ensure the viability of the area's businesses to brand and promote the merchants, the events, all through cultural tourism. The Walking Dead. There was an article in the LA Sentinel written by a Crenshaw High School teacher describing the students. He said it's not so much gang related as it is the fact that they're so angry. They're suffering an emotional and psychological death. These children are walking around like Night of the Living Dead. Dr. Aronson, Boston psychiatrist, hypnotized a number of college students and told them first that they had no past. The students felt drowsy, lost memory, powers of speech. Later they said they had a sense of meaninglessness. A past gives you a sense of who you are, and gives you a meaning for life. Then the youngsters were told that they had no future. And they said they felt a loss of identity and they were free of anxiety and motivation. Then they were told that there is no present for them. One became catatonic, others became severely depressed and almost schizophrenic. They seemed to experience a sensation of death. The world moves on, but I don't. Whoever controls your story controls your mind. It manipulates your concept of who you are. It blocks your learning ability. Our youths aren't told their history, are told they have no future, and what is their present? The history they are told is focused on slavery only. They're not told about the ancient empires of 3000 BC, of 10,000 BC, about the Olmecs, about ancient Temeri, about the Moors of Spain, and so forth. Museums tell our story. We can have museums regarding ancient black kingdoms, museums of black inventions, music museums of all sorts. It is illogical to rely on others to tell our story. If you were to read the blogs on the internet, please take the time to do it because you would be ashamed of what they say. For instance, when they talk about Haiti, they say that the people there are lazy, always looking for a handout. And the truth is rarely revealed, wherein of the $3 billion that were donated and held by the U.S. committee, only $120 million was actually received by the Haitians. They are impoverished because the satellite images have proven that the country is loaded with gold, silver, and has more oil offshore than Venezuela. They are kept in impoverishment. It's not because they're lazy or whatever. $7 billion a year comes out of Africa. Africa gives to the world, where it only receives about $2 billion in aid. And of that $2 billion, well over 90% goes back to U.S. corporations and other non-profits that are not African. So they really don't get the money, just like in Haiti. The U.S. growth, their GNP, is less than 1% per year for the last 5 years. African countries have experienced from 3 to 5% growth. Zimbabwe has a horrible reputation, but if you were to read the Ian Schoon's report about the farms, and you will see that what President Mugabe did was excellent. They're really growing. It's a beautiful and progressive continent, but we get terrible press and media because the other major Western nations are stealing the wealth, putting guns, dictators, wars, and so forth there. Defamation and media lies create criminalization, which results in our losing our children. The defamation includes violence. Our children are not violent. 70% of all crimes are committed by white folks and other folks. Drugs and welfare, 70% of both of those are by other folks. Black single parenting increased within the last 6 years 155%. White increased over 250%. Studies have proven that black fathers spend more time with their children. We must have museums in this area. Museums give us inspiration. They are a repository of knowledge. They augment the educational curricula. They help our children understand the future and their roles. They increase tourism, which gives us more foot traffic for our businesses. Museum of Tolerance, which is on Wilshire Boulevard, it has guided tours and has given guided tours to over 110,000 students per year. Their curricula for that museum includes the study of language, how language can destroy, and sharing the culture around that museum. They have teacher training. It has other people, not just Jewish or Israelis. They have other cultures there who are lending their voices in support of that museum. We can have our own museums. Not knowing the truth is worse than bad, because what it does, it causes us to hate ourselves. Folks who don't know their history become loud and vulgar. Featherman, 1885, is an anthropologist who documented that. Stress-related disease and deaths, racism, internal racism, which is I'm not African or I'm not black. That's self-hatred. Is psychologically and emotionally beating us down. Self-hatred is propagated by all media. We don't like, we don't want. No, this is not about we don't want other cultures in the Lemeirt Park African Village. The Korean merchants and people say, we don't want you here, we don't like you. Branding is not a race thing. Filipino town stretches from Virgil to Beaudry Avenue, which is miles, and it's from Beverly Boulevard to Temple, but less than 15% of that area, Filipino town, is Filipino. All people, all tourists are key to economic empowerment and growth. We want others to come to learn about us and share our culture. This is what other cultures do. We need to follow what works. They name Little Bangladesh. There might be 1,000 Bangladeshis in the city, but they have an area named after themselves. The El Salvador district is actually the 15th district with a cultural tourism name. Therefore, we need Lemeirt Park African Village to ensure our visibility. Build upon what is known. That is the key. Now, the African Marketplace was a 3-weekend festival, ran for years, and it averaged from 200,000 to 300,000 attendees. It was not branded Asian Marketplace nor Multicultural Marketplace, but African. With the name African, 42 million people will come to see what we're doing. We cannot take a chance and say, well, it'll always be African culture. No, it won't. When new demographics come in, they want their culture. This is a quote out of an article, Our Weekly magazine. Asian Week, another magazine, just held a town hall meeting in San Francisco's Fillmore District, a historically black neighborhood that now houses Japantown. Same thing's going to happen in our area if we don't name it. Now, potential attractions. We can have a beautiful conference center on that city-owned lot with a jazz and other music museums. We can put a TV production center with a modeling school. We definitely need a space for an Africa International Trade and Promotion Center. We can have ancient history museums and 7 or 8 mini museums. We need a black research library, an arts, culture, and an entertainment academy. We can promote our mini museums that we have right now in the village. Madame Kojo's Ancient Textiles Museum right there on Crenshaw. Emperor Haile Selassie Legacy Museum and Reggae Music and Artifacts there on Degnan. Sable's Black Memorabilia Museum on Degnan. Museum of Haiti, which is on hiatus. And Africa by the Yard has a little museum that's very, very interesting with a lot of beautiful chess boards. PACTA, in our business plan that we wrote about 5 years ago, keys in on for the residential area, the security of that area, the traffic, trash pickup, privacy, noise abatement, and the financial benefit of being around the village. The business plan and the business summary shows land properties that are available for purchase, and it details how jobs can be created and the youth input and businesses are promoted. We met with Councilman Wesson in his office on October the 1st, 2012. We've had a number of ongoing merchant events, and we had a number of meetings on co-op land ownership. Right now, we're in the middle of a petition drive to have this area, the commercial district only, named the Lemeirt Park African Village. To ensure a land-based cultural education, visibility, and politically efficacy place in perpetuity. A 1999 study said that if we named the area with a cultural tourism designation, it would create 200 new jobs and create over $25 million in new revenue. The majority of the current merchants are already African American, and it is the last place in the city left for us as a place where we are the majority. Remember Central Avenue, the nexus of African American culture? Harlem is now Lower Manhattan. Fillmore is now Japantown. New Orleans is not what it used to be. If you don't name it, it will be something else when the demographics change. Name it now. Our website will be up this Sunday, February the 9th, and you can see excerpts from our business plan at AfricanVillageLP for LemeirtPark.com.